So I have another story for you today. This one is actually about one of our team members and a total transformation journey for them, which was just unreal to witness and watch and just see God moving, and see kind of the growth process. So when we arrived, we had two new groups come in. One was David Lampman Music, and then the other was Mike Lowe. But Mike brought along his cousin Nico to do his tracks and kind of be hype man and help on the stage, to be with him. And Mike really felt like Nico was supposed to be there. But the thing is, Nico is a Muslim, and so when that was first brought up, the whole team was like, well, I don't know how we feel about that, coming into a Christian group and being in a leadership position. So they at first they were like, no, but then they just really bathed it in prayer, and Mike was persistent and really felt the Lord calling him to bring Nico with him. And so after lots of prayer, they were like, well, anytime we're going to be extra on it, we're going to be making sure he's not put in certain positions and not spreading things about Islam and other things like that. They were very intentional with it and very cautious, and made sure he knew all the guidelines and everything at the orientation. But when he first came in, he was really quiet. He kept to himself, didn't speak to anybody. And then he was...
The wall was definitely
The wall was up, yeah.
Completely up.
But he came with us through everything. Every search and rescue. You heard the first search and rescue stories. He was there for those, and he kind of witnessed everything going on. And the next, I don't know if it was the next night or the night after that, we had a wrap-up meeting, and people were kind of talking and sharing their thoughts. And then Nico opens his mouth, and it is the walls come down, and he's just so vibrant and full of life and just speaking about his experiences and things that he's seeing. And then we didn't know he was Muslim before, but then he opens up and he's like, I'm Muslim, and how it was interesting for him coming into this situation. He doesn't like to trust people often because he's been hurt, but just the love that we showed him really kind of opened his heart up a little bit. And so after knowing that, and seeing his true personality come out, a lot of our team members were just we see something in him, a warrior spirit that kept coming up. He could be an amazing warrior for Christ. And so we were praying for him and just kind of praying that his heart would be open and that he would be able to see things. And that prayer went on. He witnessed many things go on, and experienced lots of stuff. And his walls started to come down. He just he really brought a lot of joy to our team and passion. When he talked about things, you could tell that it really was going deep with him and was sticking with him. Also, if you have anything to add, feel free to interject it. But yeah, so about a little bit over a week in, his cousin shared some worship music with him that we'd been playing, and for some reason he just connected with it. The songs were Waymaker and Reckless Love, and every time you heard him listening to something, it was those songs on repeat. He sang them over and over and over again, and just so would belt them at the top of his lungs. You would hear him just singing them really loud, and he was going through some tough things, some situations that were some struggles for him. But yeah, so those songs really connected with him. And then one afternoon, he had been through a rough thing with his cousin, and he was just really frustrated with him. And Maggie and Randy, two of our staff members, they just sat with him for hours, talking with him, praying with him, singing worship with him, and he could hear them singing and praying for hours and crying, then that night we all gathered in a foyer for dinner, and we were all sitting down, and he just hops up and he's like, I want you all to sing this with me, like sing this with me. And he plays Waymaker and is walking around the circle, pacing the circle as we're all singing together this song about how God is a waymaker, God is a miracle worker, God is a promise keeper, light in the darkness. And like he is just singing so passionately, and you could tell something had clicked in him. Like there was a switch, something had happened, and he'd experienced something. And so then after that, like he hugged his cousin, and it was kind of like a reconciling moment because they had been kind of struggling earlier that day. And so they just hugged and like cried it out, and then we all just like bear hugged him, and we're all like tears falling, and yeah, it was a really good moment. And then he just kept listening to those songs over and over again, and throughout the whole time we've just kind of been having conversations with him. I know he had a conversation with him, Jerry had a conversation with him. They just talked about things, talked about life, answered his questions, and just were kind of there to love him no matter what, and not judging him, just accepting him for who he is, and just sharing the love of Christ. And so he like definitely had a transformation here and saw God at work in unfathomable ways, undeniable ways, and like you can tell that it stuck with him. So be praying for him. He is so close. Like he recognizes God, but he still kind of thinks it's the same God of Islam. So, and there's a lot of pressure for him to stick with Islam. But if he can just, if God will line things up, and I believe that he will do a radical transformation in him and just really create another amazing warrior for him. But on the night he left, he was in tears, and he'd connected with several of the staff members and really just felt like he had found like a dad, because his dad died when he was young, and he was just like hugging them and thanking them. And Damon was like, you give the best hugs, Nico. And he said, it's because I'm hugging you like you're my dad. So he made like some just unreal connections with some of the staff there, and saw the true love of Christ, and saw us in our flaws, and saw how we handled them, and how God just is there through it all. So he's really, really close, I think, and he's seen some things that he can never unsee and that will stick with him forever. So to be able to have him on this, he was meant to be here. Like God wanted him here to be able to speak to him and speak through us to him, speak through our actions, and just kind of show him who he is, like who God is.
It made me think of the verse where it says that when talking about Christians, you will know them from their love for one another. And he witnessed that, not only our love for one another as a group, but our love for him. Mm-hmm. And that was undeniable to him, because he spoke about that over and over again. I mean, and the last day as they left, you know, we do a thing when someone's leaving, we do a thing called the love bomb, where everybody kind of tells something special about the person that's leaving. And we all did that because we had so much to say about him. But then he went around to each individual person and spoke specifically about each person. He was so taken by the experience. And the other neat thing was he prayed us into our final meeting. And when he prayed, at the end of his prayer, what did he say?
He said, in Jesus' name.
Yeah.
For the first time.
Yeah. So
which is cool.
He is so close, and I think there's, you know, God's got a hold of him, and it's just a matter of time. Mm-hmm. It's just just a matter of time.
And he started this thing. He started this chant that we would do. It would be like, on God on 3. And then they'd go 1, 2, 3. And then we'd all say, on God. And so, like, he's just, like, been praising God, basically, whether he knew it or not. Like, with the songs that he's singing, his cousin's songs are all about God. And he's singing backup and Jesus. Yeah, and so he's singing backup on all of those and singing these worship songs with us and being a part of these prayer times and just witnessing God at work. So it was a really, really cool thing to have him there, and he was meant to be there. Like, even though at first glance we were like, ooh, or they were like, awooga, like, that's not good. That's not going to be a good fit. Like, God knew what he was doing, and he lined it up to his perfect will. To show himself to him. So be a prayer for him because he's close. So
pray for Nico.
Pray for Nico and Mike, his cousin, that Mike can have the words to speak through, that God can speak through Mike, and Mike's a good dude as well. Another radical transformation. So it's really cool to meet not only the people in each city, but all the different artists and members of our team. Like, they're all so special. They all have their own stories, and they all have their own stuff that they're going through. So to see them work through that and build those relationships has been enormously special as well. So yeah, be a prayer for them, and trust that we can trust that God's going to build some mighty warriors to add to his kingdom. So man, there we go. That's that story. So I hope you guys are enjoying hearing these accounts, and I hope that it's just encouraging you that God is always at work, and even when things might seem like, what are you going to do with this? God knows what he's going to do with it, and he has the power to break down those walls. So love you guys. I'll see you in the next video. Bye.